let me tell you a little bit about our next guest. He's not only a best-selling author, but also the personal trainer to some of the NBA's biggest superstars, everyone from Michael, Jeffrey, Air Jordan to Sir Charles Barkley, the late great Kobe Bean Bryant, and more. His new book is called Winning: The Unforgetting Race to Greatness. It's out right now. Please welcome somebody that actually trained me as well. I've been a bug on that windshield. Please
Uh,
welcome Tim Grover. Thank you very much.
Jalen, how are you? What a great introduction, man. It's been a long time. It's a pleasure to see you again, virtually, and a pleasure, honor to talk to you.
Thank you very much. So, why should a winner's mindset be stronger than his feelings?
Jalen, listen, you've played at the highest level. You're competing at the highest level, even though you're not playing anymore in your new endeavors and in your field. Think about all the decisions that you've made through your life, the bad ones.
Mhm.
Were was your mind stronger than your feelings, or were your feelings stronger than your mind? You know,
Mhm.
everybody wants to think with their heart, and usually when you think with your heart, the decisions aren't correct. And when you make decisions with your mind, when your mind is stronger than your feelings, you make the decisions that are best for yourself and for everyone around them. It may not be the most popular decisions, but they are the right decisions. And you know, you can take this going all the way back to your Michigan days.
Mhm.
You look at how many decisions
Yes.
you as a player, you guys as an organization, as a
Mhm.
team, everybody was telling you, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. This is not the way to play. This is not the way to dress, the way not to do things. And that was everybody was, if you guys would have went with the feelings, if you guys would have went with your heart, you would have been like, yeah, you know what? Okay, we're upsetting a few people. We're doing these things.
Mhm.
But up here, you guys knew that this was the right thing to do, regardless of what
Right.
everybody else was saying. And for the historians out there, it turned out pretty well.
Yes, absolutely. And you say something in your new book that I find fascinating, and I relate it to Kevin Durant as he left OKC to go to Golden State. He won back-to-back championships, was Finals MVP two times in a row. But then he said he thought that that was going to make him feel something or a level of happiness that it actually didn't. And
Mhm.
again, in your book, you say winning is the lover that takes you to paradise all night and then you wake up alone.
Oh,
Are you saying winning is overrated?
no, winning is not overrated. It's just you can't own it. You can hold on to it briefly, just briefly.
Mm.
And then it leaves you because it's going to move on to the next, it's going to try to move on to the next person and so forth.
Mm.
So these champions, they're at their highest when they win, but that's also their lowest point because they know in order to do it again, what they have to go through over and over and over again to constantly be in the conversation with winning, to constantly be in that race to win again and again. You get a lot of athletes, and you hear this all the time, and they say stuff that they really don't mean. You know, from a competitive standpoint, you get out there and things start to like really go. And KD will say some things, but then you know he'll have some underlining statements about it. He's kind of always keeping you off guard, regardless of what he says. He's an assassin. He wants to win. Not only does he wants to win, he wants to destroy you. He wants to
Mhm.
embarrass you. It doesn't matter who you are out there. And winning constantly is going to recognize him and continue to call his name as long as he produces the results.
Recently, the public was reminded that the current athlete and the person that they look to the most when you talk about that killer instinct is Michael Jordan.
Mhm.
And you were front and center for most, if not all, of the great Jordan years. as a Chicago Bull. What about him that you now see has played itself out over the years since he stopped playing, that his influence has been able to elongate itself in the game?
Well, I mean, first of all, obviously everybody knows his shoe is still the hottest selling shoe out there. It's like, and it's funny, as a younger generation comes in who really haven't had a chance to like really see Mike and do what he does, they look at YouTube, and I get emails and texts all the time from individuals and saying, oh, all the stuff you see on YouTube, that's not real, it's Photoshopped. I'm like, no, it's actually even better in person than it was on YouTube, because they just can't imagine doing stuff like that. I remember when Zach LaVine had a 50-point game in Chicago, and he was the first player to do it in a while. Or I can't remember the whole thing with the third. And they asked him about Mike, and he says, listen, MJ's a ghost. He's a myth. He goes, and that's the perpetuation of what he's created. And The Last Dance just took it to a completely different level, to see how intense he was and see how focused he was during one of the most difficult times to win.
Mm-hmm.
And, you would just imagine coming in to a season and the organization, whether it's the owner, general manager, tells you no matter whether you win the championship or not, the coach is no longer going to be here and the team is going to be dismantled.
That is crazy.
All right. Then on top of that, your next best player, who's been with you for 5 championships, decides to have back surgery during the season. How many players or individuals would have said, you know what, they don't care about us, why should we care about them? But his desire and the mental fortitude to win during any adversity that was thrown at you. For most individuals, they would have been like, I'm not going to do this. For him, everything that happened was just another chance to show how to win under all these different circumstances. And what I want these individuals to see now is, there's a lot of players that are out there that are physically gifted, but it's that mental toughness, it's that mental edge, it's that winning mindset that's going to allow you to separate yourself from those individuals. And the winning mindset isn't just about you, it's about yourself and your teammates.
So a lot of times, and I know you hear it, as LeBron James continues to ascend in the record books and win championships with the Los Angeles Lakers, the GOAT conversations are going to be had because it's a different generation of people who just didn't see MJ play. I feel like it's no question that MJ is the GOAT. When you're asked, what do you think?
Well, listen, obviously I'm going to be biased about this, but being alongside this individual and being able to see things that nobody got a chance to see, not the way he handled the media, the way he handled adversity, leaving the game and coming back and winning three more in a row, never losing in an NBA final, never needing a game 7, and no matter how great his stats were during the regular season, they were even better during the playoffs. And during that era, no other star won a championship. They could not beat Michael Jordan and the Bulls, except the 2 years that he was away, which I think it was the Houston Rockets that won the championship.
Yep, back to back.
Back to back. All right. And, obviously people are going to say, well, those championship, MJ had the utmost respect for Olajuwon and the way he played the game and the way he approached the game. And those debates are going to go on and back and forth. But while MJ was on the court, Patrick didn't win. Charles didn't win. Stockton didn't win. Clyde didn't win. Karl Malone didn't win. And we can just keep going on and
Gary
on and
Payton and
on.
Sean Kemp.
Yes. I mean, you know it more than I do. There was just like, it was like, no, this is my era. You are not going to win during this time.
The other thing, while people understand that Jordan was an assassin when he needed to be, even with his teammates, you sell shoes not only 30, 40 years later, not only because of your stats, but MJ was also cool. See, I know y'all see him now. He's the owner of the team, and y'all see him with the hoop earrings, and y'all feel like he's not wearing the tight jeans. So y'all try to joke on him. But MJ was smooth. He had the ball head. He had the long shorts. You know, he played basketball with his tongue out.
Yeah.
Just think about that for a second. He played basketball with his tongue out. He kept a cigar. He was one of the fellas. He would like be at the casino. He would gamble. And so like talk about that side of MJ that people sleep on.
You know what? It's exactly what you said. He was one of the fellas. He was one of the fellas. You know, like you said, he drank wine. He smoked cigars. He went to the casino. He loved to play golf. He loved to play cards with his teammates. You know, he was probably the first. Well, I don't know. You know, if you go back into the 60s and 70s, which I really wasn't following the NBA then, but if you call it the modern era, whatever you want to call it, he was the first one to like really take dressing to another level with the shoes and the ties and the suits and all this stuff. And even the automobiles. I don't call them cars. I call them, because he didn't drive cars. He drove automobiles, you know, and he didn't wear watches. He wore timepieces. There's a huge difference between the two. I was like, listen, I wear a watch and I drive a car. All right. So MJ did, and you know, we'd always used to teach MJ. He's like, you know, he said, come over to the house. I said, MJ, you don't live in a house. You live in an estate. So everything was a level up. But just like you said, he would talk to all the players. He would talk trash. He was a competitor. He would acknowledge you when you acknowledged him both ways. He was always there to help players out. Yeah, you know, you brought it up a great point that he was like cool. It was cool to be bald. It was cool to have the earring in there. And back then, you know, everybody knew he was in tremendous shape. But you know, a story about that is, you know, I worked with him for 15 years.
Wow.
For 15 years, and you know, the amount of discipline he had during that time was extremely high. So it didn't surprise me that once he was done, that he was going to go. I didn't think he'd go to this extreme, which his weight has actually come down, but it happens. It happens. It happens to the best of them. I mean, before this interview even started, you and I had this discussion where you were kind of headed down that path, and you were like,
yes,
you know what? I'm not gonna let it happen to me. And like I said, your weight probably now is lighter than when you played.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's a choice, especially when you're not getting paid to stay in shape anymore. And also you don't have the regimen that you've had since you were a kid of playing basketball every day.
Every day.
As I started to get older, I had to watch what I'm eating and what I'm putting in my body and stuff like that. What advice do you give retired players when you see them or know about their situations that can help them live a long life?
Well, though, you know, one of the things is like, listen, yeah, you're not burning as many calories. You're not practicing at the same intensity. You're not playing as much. All right. So now and you know, you go to when you stay in the hotels, you can order your food. You know, you have food on the plane. Now you have to take control over all that situation. So you got to really pay attention to how you hydrate, what you hydrate with, the amount of calories you take in, and what kind of calories that you're taking in. You know, in your position being in the media and the broadcast, I know everywhere you go, well, when the pandemic is over with and you can have access to everything, there's plenty of food, not the right type of food.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Bread, cookies,
Yes.
donuts,
Yes.
fried chicken tenders,
You know,
fries.
and you get to the point where when you're playing and your metabolic rate is that high and you're burning those calories and you have that lean muscle mass, you can eat a donut or maybe two. Nowadays, you eat a half a donut, it sticks with you for the rest of the week. So it's just what you said. It's the choices that you have to make. You got to educate yourself on what to drink, the times to eat, how to exercise differently. You're not going to go out and do the same things you did while you were playing, but there's different things that you can still do. The time, people always ask me, what's the best time to work out? The best time to work out is when you can work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plain and simple. When you can work out. When you're playing, it's different. Obviously with the travel and the game schedules and the practice schedules, so things have to be adjusted a little bit more accordingly. But now, if you're just living in the civilian life and in the days of what you're doing, best time to work out is whenever you can work out. Try not to eat late. Make sure you hydrate properly. Make sure you eat balanced meals, meaning the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the good fats. And if you're going to drink alcohol, make the right choices. There's actually alcohols that are better for you, and there's alcohols that are worse for you. So educate yourself in all that stuff. You and I back then, we didn't have access to the internet where everything you could just Google something and it would show up. You had to find somebody who had the knowledge and have them explain it to you. Now, knowledge is so readily available, but you also got to know which is the correct knowledge and which is the wrong knowledge.
Absolutely. And the theme for this show is actually one more rep, as I mentioned. What's your method of getting the most out of yourself when you're ready to quit?
You know what? It's funny. Think about all the workouts going back to your AAU days, going way back when, all right? When individuals quit, was it because they were physically tired or they were mentally tired? Your mind will tell you to quit before your body will. So to get that one extra rep, don't look for the external motivation. What I really enjoyed with working with individuals like you and different winners out there is I really didn't have to motivate you guys. You guys were self-motivated. Yeah, I had to push you guys. I had to, make you do some things that you didn't want to do. But I didn't have to tell you to show up early. I didn't have to tell you to stay up late. I didn't have to tell you to work on your free throws. I didn't have to tell you this was the weakness in your game. You guys had already addressed that and say, hey, this is what we need to do in order to get better. So if you constantly need motivation, to me, that's entry level. You have to get to the point where it has to be internal. Winning is internal. So instead of trying to be motivated all the time, try to elevate yourself, hold yourself accountable, to produce the best end result. How much time you spent a lot of time playing and you had to study the playbooks and you had to read the plays and do all that stuff. It hasn't changed now. When you do games, when you have to talk about different topics, you started out, everybody was going to say, oh, he's going to talk about basketball. Well, look what this show is. This show is about, it's about everything else and a little bit of basketball, not just basketball. But you have to educate yourself and take time into those things. And that's what winning wants. Winning wants to see all of you. It doesn't want to see just a part of you.
That's well said. And you touched on something that I was going to ask you. Why is selfishness misunderstood yet required for greatness?
Well, you know what? It's funny. The word itself is misunderstood. People that they like to sugarcoat selfish. People like to give it they like to give it creative words. All right, I give an example. Me time. Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh
you know,
no.
yeah. All right. People, this is guys' night out, girls' night out, a man cave. All right. Those are all, they're all about you. But people respect that because it's not selfish. All right. But you have to take care of yourself. And
Yeah.
usually when people call you selfish, it's because the one time you said no to them,
Mm.
now all of a sudden you're selfish. They don't remember the numerous times you said yes, 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 and yes, but the one time you say no, now all of a sudden you're selfish. If you don't take care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of anybody else? You played a team sport. If you weren't taking care of yourself and performing at the highest level, would the team be better or the team be worse?
Be
It would
worse.
be worse. All right.
Hmm.
So self is like you have to be selfish to the point where it benefits you and it benefits everyone else. So it's so important. People just like to give it these crazy, crazy words and say it should. Here's another one. All right. People, what if you say, I'm going to take time to meditate or I'm going to take time to work out? Well, that's you time. That's
Right.
something you decide to do. You know, and people don't call that selfish. Now, if you give somebody where you tell them he or she is meditating, they're like, okay, that's a good thing. Then when you tell somebody, hey, I need to be left alone, all of a sudden now you're selfish. What's the difference? What's the
That's a great
difference?
point. That's an
Yeah.
absolute great point. And by the
Yeah.
way, for those of us that travel a lot, really listen to the announcements before the airplane takes off because they distinctly say, in case of an emergency, put your mask on first.
Yes, they do.
And I remember being on a private plane with my elderly grandmother and my infant daughter and thinking, oh my goodness, this is a lot of responsibility.
Mhm.
Exactly what you just said. And that's
And
a
think
with
right.
it.
And what's the natural reaction? You're on a plane with your daughter. God forbid nothing ever happened. But what's your natural instincts? If something happened, that mask came down, your natural instinct was
Forever.
to grab her and take care of them. All right. But how can you help her if you don't take that quick 2 seconds and put your thing on first, so you're at full alert, you're everything. Now not only can you help her, you can help multiple people.
Wow, what an amazing life trait. And,
Yeah.
and also in winning, you talk about getting in touch with your darker side and
Mm.
leveraging it to achieve. What's the best way to do that?
Jalen, if you go back, and it's funny, I'm glad you're doing this podcast. All
Thank
right,
you. Appreciate you
because
joining me too.
oh, think about when you guys came in as the Fab Five.
Mhm.
All right, each each one of your players had this thing inside of them that nobody could touch.
Mhm.
You couldn't trash talk them out of it. You couldn't coach it out of them. You couldn't do it. It was something that was so deep inside each individual
Mhm.
that kept them going when nothing else would.
Mhm.
And that's what your dark side is. It's unique to each individual here. It's not about vampires. It's not about Star Wars. It's
Mhm.
about the thing that keeps you going when nothing else will. When the coach is in there and he tells you, listen, you got another, 5 suicides or whatever it is, and you're just like, man, I just ain't got it. And then all of a sudden you got it. That's your dark side pushing you, saying, hey, let's go. Come on, let's do this. It's what fuels you. It's what you understand that nobody else
Mhm.
understands. For young guys that are watching this, go back and look at some of the interviews that you guys had to do as a freshman in college, and all the questions that you guys were doing, because you guys literally changed the landscape of college basketball. Now, if you thought like everybody else, you would have been like everybody else. The dark side allows you to think. It allows you not to think like everybody else. In the book, we also talk about what to think and how to think. Think about all the unique players in any professional sport. They all know how to think. There's a huge difference. Most of us, through school, education, and everything we're done, everything is about what to think, what to think, what to think. You read this book, this is the way to do it. Here it is. When you guys came out, you guys each had that individuality, and it was how to think. Yeah, we know what to think. We know what our coaches are saying. We know what the media is saying. We know what the school is saying. But we're individuals. We also know how to think. So the best of the best, they know what to think and how to think and combine it at the same time. That's what winning requires.
And that's the dark side, basically, that has somebody getting up at 4 a.m. to basically train and work out.
Yes, it's what gets you up. That's like other people. Listen, there's more things that want to keep you inside and keep you in that bed. Just another half hour. You know, you don't have to go work out today. You had a good one. It's that dark side that taps you and says, "Hey, get up." Like get up now. We got work to do, because if you're not working, somebody else is. And you know, you said it perfectly. Kobe Bean Bryant, he was legendary for that. Yes. Legendary.
Yes. Well, absolutely, he was. How about somebody else that you got a chance to ball out at your gym that's a legend? Barack Obama.
Yes.
2012 election day. What was it like watching the president play hoops?
It was funny. It was like watching a bullfighter. Olay, because nobody wanted to hurt the next president. He was going up. He was, you know, he's got some skills. But the unique part about that story is the security that came and surrounded the building. I mean, it was funny. All you could see was the individual's eyes. They came in, and I was outside. They were all on the roof. They literally lifted the sewers and had people positioned in. Yes, people positioned in the sewers. All you could see was the individual's eyes. They didn't smile at you. They didn't speak at you. They didn't do anything. I mean, they had the camouflage gear. They were lying out in the parking lot, lying under cars, in the grass. It was amazing. And then the game itself, you know, it was an honor to have him in there. And it was funny. After he was done, he looked at his phone, and before the results were even there, you could see a smile on his face that he was like, yeah, not only did I win in this gym, but I'm about to be the next president of the United States. And he took pictures with all of us. He acknowledged us all. He took pictures with us, and it was a surreal moment. It was really, really surreal.
And he really loved the game. Shout to Arnie Duncan. I'm pretty sure he probably was near to that hoop game as well. Both of them lefties can ball.
Yes, Arnie was at that game. There was a lot of individuals there, but it was special. It was something that you never think that's going to happen in your lifetime, and then you actually get to see it. It leaves an imprint.
And something else that probably left the imprint that, you know, obviously it's a tragic thing, but it's something that I heard you tell a story about. And it was the story about a time where a player almost died while training at your gym.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, so it's actually it ended up actually being a funny story at the end. So Michael was getting ready for his comeback, and during that time, it was like, hey, I need to get some players that can kind of just run up and down the court with me and so forth. And everybody wanted to play. So we put some calls out to different individuals that played at a high collegiate level, or some overseas guys, just to get him moving again. And I would never tell the individuals. I would just say, hey, show up at the gym. This is the time. Your name will be at the door. We'll let you in. All this other stuff, and give them all the rules.
Right.
And then because I didn't want them to know that they were getting ready to play either alongside or against MJ, the Black Cat, Michael Jordan, Mike Jordan, whatever you wanted to call him. And this one guy came in and he saw who it was. So he ran back out to his car and he drank like 5 Red Bulls. So he finally got his chance to play, and he was playing in the game, and he was running up and down, and all of a sudden I see him just kind of slow down. The game hadn't been going on this was like his first game, and all of a sudden I see him start. He's sweating profusely, and all of a sudden I just see him just pass out on the floor. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I jump. Obviously they stopped the game, and Michael's playing on the opposite team. And I jump out there. I see him foaming. At the mouth. So I clear the foam off. I give him CPR. I'm pounding on his chest, and then obviously we were fortunate enough. He wakes up. He gets a little groggy, and everything is good. And Michael's looking over him. And I said, I go to MJ, I said, he's having a heart attack. And MJ looks at me and says, evidently. and the guy comes around, and then he wakes up, and then, MJ looks and he's first person he sees is MJ, and he starts to apologize. He's like, oh, Mike, I'm sorry. And Mike goes, hey, you good? He goes, yeah, I'm good. So he goes up to me. He goes, all right, well, get me a sub. I got a game to finish. That's the competitive nature of, winners need to finish. So, I mean, he's lived a healthy life. Everything's been fine, but wow. Things do happen. Things do happen.
Wow. That's hilarious. Again, I truly appreciate you joining me. It's an honor to have you on. But before I let you get out of here, I want to shoot a couple of rapid fire questions.
All right.
Gone in 60 seconds with Tim Grover. Cardio or weightlifting?
Weightlifting.
Name your top 3 songs that get you hyped before a workout.
You know what? Okay, I know I got to make this quick. I don't listen to music when I work out. I don't listen to music when I work out. All right. I want to be my own hype person.
Got you.
I want to be my own hype. I don't want to have external hype. I want to be my own hype person. So I don't listen to music.
Got you. I don't like playing rec ball and one of my teammates has in earbuds.
Yeah, where is that? Like, what is that? Is it that important? Are you? If you have that important of a phone call coming your way, you shouldn't be playing. Go sit down and wait for that phone call. What are you listening to? You studying? If you're studying, go study. If you're playing basketball, if you're hooping, let's hoop.
Hey, who's your funniest celebrity client?
Who's my funniest celebrity client? Well, you know what? I really don't. Most of my are athletes, so I didn't really have any. Who was Charles Barkley? If I had to say, Charles was absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Legend, around mound the rebound, and he'll love this next question. Go ahead.
And you know who's sneaky quiet, who's sneaky funny, and you'll know this, Michael Finley.
He is. I remember going to Wisconsin, and he and Tracy Webster, they beat us. That's when Michael Finley still had his Jerry curl. He was playing around.
Yeah. Mike Finley, he sneaks those jabs in. He sets that fire and then walks away.
Absolutely. What's your favorite cheat meal?
What's my favorite cheat meal? If it's a food, it's a slice of pizza. All right.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Chicago pizza. Yeah. If it's now the key is a slice.
Okay.
That's the key. And if it's a sweet thing, man, cookies are my downfall.
Last but not least, because you're a legend at what you do. I love and appreciate you. You worked with MJ for 15 years, as you said. So I can't let you get out of here without asking you this question. What's your most memorable win?
What's my most memorable win?
Yes.
My most my most memorable win is watching my clients win. Because you know what? It's a funny thing. I asked everybody, describe winning in one way, in one word. And people had all these answers. Kobe's answer was winning is everything.
Mm.
That was his answer. And if you think about it, think about how you feel when you win.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how you feel when your kids win.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how you feel when your family wins. Think about how you feel when your team wins.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling is everything. That feeling
Absolutely.
is everything. To see, listen, you know my workouts are not easy.
Not easy.
Yeah,
Not
and
easy.
yeah, to see these individuals go through what I put them through and get to that pinnacle. And they didn't. MJ was the only one that got to that pinnacle and
Mm-hmm.
won every single time. D
Mm-hmm.
Wade got to that pinnacle and didn't win every single time. Kobe got to that pinnacle and didn't win every time. So the ones that they lost and being able to come back,
Mm-hmm.
that's something special. That those wins stick with you. They really do. And to see individuals like yourself, clients like yourself, what's amazing about this thing here is you had 3 individuals on your team,
Mm-hmm.
on your college team, that all turned pro, that signed very, very large contracts.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not going to get into the numbers. If you want to share that, that's fine.
We went from the city to the suburbs, let's just say.
Yes, and not to any suburb, not to just any suburb. And then all 3 of you have excelled after your professional careers in the endeavors of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
In the endeavors of your choice. 2 of you decided to go the media route, and one decided to go the coaching route. And it's been, you don't see that. You don't see that too often, especially from the same collegiate team. You might see a player make it,
Yep.
but to
Absolutely.
literally see 3 excel at the sport and also excel after playing basketball. That's, to me,
Thank
that's
you,
winning.
brother.
That's winning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Winning. The unforgiving race to greatness is out right now. Tim, it's been an honor to have you on the show. I'm forever grateful. But I thought about one more thing I must ask you.
Yes,
You
sir.
worked out so many great championship athletes. How many rings do you have?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I have 6 from Chicago. I have 3 from Miami.
Mm.
And I have 2 from the Lakers.
Mm.
Now, remember, we've also other clients that have also won championships. Those individuals, I didn't get rings from those persons, but I feel like they're still a
They
part of the
still count.
championship.
They still
They still,
count. Still add
you
them to
got,
your total.
yeah, hey, Sean Marion's won championships.
Yep, Dallas Mavs.
We've had, let's see, Paul Pierce has won championships. If I had to go through the list of individuals I'm not exaggerating. One day I got to sit down and really count
Yes.
every single athlete and when I mean I've trained them, I'm like, I've trained them. I didn't pass them the basketball one time, or I didn't see them somewhere. I didn't see them at the U.S. Olympic team and decided to work them out for a day or something. These are individuals that came back to me over and over and over again. It's numerous. Tony Allen is another one that comes to mind. People don't know that Elijah Wan was a client of mine. All right. Tracy McGrady was a client of mine. I'm fortunate enough to have, whether you talk about when they had the greatest 50, I have 5 of those guys.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I have 5 of those that I worked out on a continuous year in and year out basis. Juwan Howard's got
Yes.
Juwan Howard's got
Good Rush.
championships.
Mhm.
Yes, Karan Butler's got championships. Well, I can just go
Wow.
on, and all their wins are very important to me, because some of the thing that I enjoy the most is bringing an athlete back after they say it's a career-ending injury.
Mhm. Right.
To be able to take an individual like a Tracy McGrady, who went through that horrific knee injury, and allow him to play again. Take somebody like a Karan Butler, who tore his quad tendon, getting him back playing again. To take an individual like Charles Barkley, when he went down, Charles came up to me and said, "I can't let my daughter see me go out like this. I
Wow.
need to get back on the court. I need to play one more game next season, and I need to score a basket." He goes,
Wow.
"That's how important. That's how important this rehab process is to me."
Wow. Well, you're a wealth of knowledge. And now I gave you some homework. You have to find out how many rings you got.
Oh my goodness! All right, I'll figure that out for you. I'll do that.
Because you got about 50 rings, I think. My over under is 50.
I'll take a look. It's close. It's close.
All right. Well, I appreciate you. Looking forward to catching up soon. Thanks a lot.